You want to lead? Good evening, Facebook. Appreciate having you all on this evening. We're running a little behind, so we're going to jump right on in. You have myself, Terrence Perry, and also Sandra Hardy.
Hello, everyone.
So we got a couple of relationship topics that we want to get into tonight. We want you all to, as you listen in, feel free to. You can't call in, but you can type. You can type in, and once we see it, if you got questions or concerns, we can answer. So feel free to, hey, let us know what you're feeling and what you think, so we can kind of answer those topics. Sandra, I know you got a couple of questions tonight that you want to. So can we go ahead on and take one?
Sure, we can.
And we're gonna roll with it.
All right. Well, my first question is about communication. Why is it that it's so difficult to establish a good communication line in a relationship, whether it be initially kicking off in the beginning of a relationship or maintaining that communication throughout a relationship? Why do you think that it's such a difficult task to do when two people are supposedly have a connection?
All right, so take me back down that journey once more.
Okay.
Take the audience back to that question again. Okay. That was a little long, but
okay.
Make sure we got it.
The question is, as far as communication, why is it so difficult to, one, establish communication in a new relationship that's workable, and then two, when you're in a relationship, to maintain that communication throughout the relationship, because actually, as we know, communication is the key in a relationship. So right. If the communication is lacking, then lots of times the relationship is going to diminish and fall apart. So
true. Well, I can answer that question. I give you my perspective on it, but also Lorinda, our producer, just because you're on the other side of the camera, don't mean that you're not gonna chime in. So So we're gonna take your feedback also.
I'm invisible. Do you see me in front of the camera?
I see you.
You see me.
We see you.
Okay.
So let's take the communications in the relationship. Partly, well, let's say partly, because you gave us a 3-part question. Communication can be hard, partly because when people come into a relationship, they've already been in a previous relationship. It ain't their first rodeo.
Right.
So oftentimes people bring that past relationship ideal, whether it was bad or good, into the new relationship. In and of itself, that's going to affect the communication.
Right.
Because you're not going to be hearing what that new person is saying. You still got that old person's noise in your ear, in your head.
Right.
So
I can see that.
Until that's out, or if that's already dealt with, then I think communication, and may be open, but they have to be both parties. If both parties are bringing some previous baggage to the new relationship, then that's going to cause some communication breakdown.
Okay. I agree. I agree with that. As what you were saying, because of if you bringing in that past relationship information, then that causes people to see, maybe something that person say triggers something that was done or said in a past relationship, and can put a bad taste in the person's mouth. I can understand that aspect of it.
But you know what they say, but it's saying that if you bring in baggage from what someone else done to you, and if you bring that baggage to a new relationship, then you bringing that to that new person, that person hadn't done anything to you. But if you already bringing that in a relationship, then that's gonna cause miscommunication.
Yeah.
That person ain't gonna know what in the world you talking about.
Well,
what did I do? And
right.
and you thinking about something that was done, from somebody else.
Yeah, I think too, assumption has a lot of
Right.
to do with that too. A lot of times people want to assume instead of moving forth and asking. I just think that a lot of times it's better to be open, and say what needs to be said. That way nobody has to assume anything. Because if you lay everything out and you say, okay, I'm going to be honest and I'm just going to, let you know what I'm thinking, not to be rude or to be, in a tactful manner, of course, not to be abusive, but if you're leveled and the person can understand that no matter what, I know that this person is going to tell me the truth, then I think too that opens up, that allows people to be able to talk freely as well, because then they know, okay, I can say this and they're not going to take offense to it, but they're going to, understand what I'm trying to say, and be able to move forward in a relationship in that way. What do you think?
Now, we had one, Monique says that, baggage from past relationships can make communication difficult. I think, can I say something since
Yes.
it's made me part of the
By
show?
all means.
I'm supposed to be invisible. I think people take this dating and relationship thing way too seriously.
Way too.
I
serious.
think we need to just have freaking fun, right? Because if you're doing something that you're both compatible, both enjoy, conversation is really easy because you're both doing something that you would be doing without them.
So basically you're saying just go approach it as friends.
You have to.
And then don't have any of the other stuff in between,
Because
until you really understand each other.
Yeah, just like marriage, they say you set a date to get married.
Right.
I don't think marriage is a date. I think it happens somewhere along the time that you're hanging out with each other, and then you just wake up one day and you're like, man, I don't think I want to live in this world without that person. And then you set a date. And then you set a date to tell the rest of the world about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you said
it's not anything planned.
No,
basically.
It just happens. You just live your life. You have your fun. You find people that you resonate with. And that's how it goes. This planning and figuring out and Hawaii and this, and
Go ahead.
it just makes it just way too deep.
Some people, I think you're saying they overthink it.
Right.
And when you overthink it, you put more.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's just really, really weird and uncomfortable, I think. Because people will talk if you are, I think, when you don't
have any pressure or stress or anything like that.
So just find something.
It's just
fun,
open. It's just an open thing, and just take the weight off.
Yeah.
Of it.
Let that go. Because if you do end up with that person, it is your compatibilities from values on up to what it is you do every day to whether you snore or stink that's going to make you stay there, not all this other stuff.
Well, let me ask you this now. I want to make sure that we are on the same page with where we're at in the conversation about the relationship. Were you talking about the initial dating phase, or what you're talking about is you want to end it? But you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about dating.
The early stages.
Early, way early.
Well, I mean, I think early, you just having fun and don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you started thinking about marriage, then I think you've gotten beyond just the early stages. I think you're kind of somewhere in the stages where we have talked about
monogamous.
Really spending our life together. Once you, even though you've spent time and you're having fun and you're enjoying each other, and you want that to come natural.
So are you saying that's kind of sad what you just said, Terrence, because
What's
that means that once you decide to spend your life with somebody, then the fun stops?
No, I don't think he means it in that way. What he's saying is, because the way you're saying is that you just have fun. So do you mean have fun with that person or have fun with multiple persons?
Multiple. You're not married. Multiple.
Okay,
people.
So
I thought you were talking about with just that person.
Yeah, so he was more talking about if you decide to marry someone, and so now you're focusing on preparing, and it's not and creating.
So you're
Um,
engaged and you're having trouble talking. Is
Well,
that
and,
is
well,
that,
that's the whole.
is that the scenario? Maybe we need to fix the
Let's
scenario.
let's
Yeah,
clarify the
let's-
scenario.
Well, the scenario is
Where are we in
basically.
this relationship?
I just took it from beginning to end. I think people have communication all the way through problems. Sometimes they don't. They're they're not sure what to say, or if this person is they start trying to read language and body language and actions versus actually saying, hey, what is it that you're saying? Are you saying something? Are you not saying something? And I think that part caused communication because that's where the assumptions and assuming comes into play. And then I think as you move forward in a relationship, if, say one person may not like to talk as much as another person likes to talk, then I think then you miss out in communication because the other person is trying to, reach out.
Mm-hmm.
And then one person thinks that, oh, well, they should know, well, you should know how I feel because they're not used to saying it or don't want to say it. So then that's a lack of communication once you're in the midst of the relationship. And then if you carry that on into marriage, even if that person still can endure the love of not the communication, full communication that they need from the dating process to the engaged process, eventually in the marriage, they're going to get tired of, not being seen or heard, they feel like their voice is just not there. Nobody hears what they're saying. You're talking, but nobody's listening.
So why did they let it get that far though?
Yeah.
If you decide it could get engagement and then marriage, but if that problem was already there, and it was, if it's not addressed in the engagement phase or before then, and then you go and get married, and then you decide, well, now you're not happy, but that problem was already there. Why wasn't it ever addressed?
Well,
Because
maybe
evidently it was an
but
issue.
just was sometimes love make people do crazy things. Love makes sometimes when you're in love, you see the rose-colored stuff. You see all the good
Yeah.
stuff. You're seeing, so you overlook the little things that really become magnified just once you're loved and you're no longer in that beginning rose-colored glasses thing. Then everything kind of comes into play. You know what I mean? You see, you start to notice the little things. Or the little things that you noticed before now are big things because you're no longer in that, oh, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. The flowers are great, the birds are chirping, and
Yeah,
you
well,
know what I mean?
True. But the reality sets in. Once you get married, now the reality sets in. You got to start thinking about household, budgeting,
Right.
long term. It ain't just we just dating, having fun. I mean, that's still part of it. But the seriousness come with it too.
Right.
If you're just having fun, but you ain't taking care of the bills or the kids or the household, then like you said, now you take them you take those rose-colored glasses off. But I think things change once you get married from dating and being engaged. Once you get married, now you're in the relationship takes on a purpose, and if
It should
that
always have a purpose, though.
yeah, but I'm saying the purpose now does have to be a division in duties, responsibilities.
Again,
We gotta-
it's communication.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what I'm saying. Why is it that the communication has an issue surviving, even from the beginning? If you manage to get that far in, then how does it fall apart? Where's the what is the I guess is there a magic pill for people in relationships?
The red pill or the blue pill?
Right. Which one do they take to keep the communication going? What advice can we tell them that, on how to make this thing work as far as talking with your mate and, telling them what it is that you're looking for, telling them what it is that you want. I mean, just lay it out and see what's at that point. What do you think, Lauren?
Well, the way I think, I think
Yeah.
I'm a little weird because
Just a little bit.
I think the way you keep talking is to have something to talk about.
So they need to be
You have
like-minded,
Yeah, you have to have a vision for the relationship.
right.
You
I
have
like
to have
that. I like
something that
word,
you're
vision
doing
for the
that
relationship.
is, you got you as you,
Mhm.
then me as me,
And
and then what's we? What are we here for?
right.
You know, like what are we doing that says Mr. and Mrs. So and so? Are we raising kids?
Yeah.
Are we forming a foundation?
Right.
What are we doing in the world that is us?
That's the purpose I'm talking about. You got to have
Right, that's
each relationship, or when you talk about marriage, that marriage has to have a purpose. You know, you have to have a vision of what are we trying to achieve as partners. If you know, if you're over here doing your thing and I'm over here doing mine, but we're not doing nothing in the middle,
Right.
then you're gonna grow apart.
Right.
And you can communicate verbally all you want to. You know, I did
You
this
have
today and
nothing to
that
talk
today,
about.
and yeah, well, I did this and that today. That and I did that, but what the have we done together?
Right.
If all your days you doing your, so it's got to be something together, and it's somewhere there in the middle still.
Mhm.
Not that two people can't do separate things, because you can have a business and stuff together, or you can have separate businesses.
Work
You know,
out together.
but it's got to be some togetherness
Right.
in that. But
Activities. But what about
Purpose.
for those that are beginning or not at the marriage stage yet, or
Fun.
either just fun,
It's
just
fun.
just have fun and
It's
just
fun, and you know, even if it's not fun, it's some cause, some community thing that you do together, something that you do for the church, something. You gotta have something that you can talk about. Otherwise, you have nothing to talk about. You have no relations. You're not relating because there's nothing
I like
there
that. That's right.
to.
and I think, like you said, if it start, I mean, and that's usually how people meet and
Right.
start dating anyway. So with that already being in place, okay. But once you get into
Dialogue.
well, I'm saying once you get into a marriage, because what brought you together was some common cause. You met somebody, like you said, you might have been at some community event, it might have been at some
Mhm.
workshop, some group, but it was something that brought you together. So now you had a common bond that you would talk about.
Mhm. That's your thing.
But if you don't continue that, or y'all do something different, you know, on down the road,
Mhm.
you might have another cause. You know, but if that person is got to be involved in it with you, or you got to still have some communication, and you got to still have something that brings you together, something that keeps you together.
Okay.
Because now, but take for instance, I think we was talking to, matter of fact, she was on my show
Mhm.
Tuesday, and what she talked about was her and her husband earlier in the relationship, they had to be apart for about 2 years.
Right.
And she was on West Coast, I think he was on the East Coast, but those 2 years, she said, was hard, but they worked it out,
Right.
but they had a goal in mind. So all they had to do was work the goal, and once the 2 years was done, they was back together.
Right.
Mhm.
But they endured that because they wanted to be together. They were only apart for a certain period of time, which they agreed and understood
Right.
that they would be apart for that period of time. But the goal was to get back together, but they had to separate for a minute to bridge that to make it
Right.
work, and it
Okay.
worked out. Now they've been together for 12 years. So
Mhm.
you know,
I love that.
Common code. Yeah, I do too.
That, you know, you
Common
have to
goal,
have
common,
a purpose.
yeah.
A purpose. I love the story of, for some reason, this is the only one I can think of right now, that Bill and Melinda Gates,
Mhm.
when they were dating, okay, he took her to Africa. I mean, this was their date.
Mhm.
And they saw, this is before he was who he is now so much, you know, but well enough to go to Africa. And they were both touched by just how different the lives were.
Right.
And so they decided at that point, while they were still dating, like, you know what, we should do something about this. And so there's a part, you know, he does this letter every year, this annual report
Mhm.
that he sends out to everybody. Actually, Warren Buffett, you know,
right.
gave their foundation that $10 billion. And so he wrote him back in December and said, hey,
I need
it's
to know.
been 10 years. Well, $3 billion, it was a lot of money.
Mhm.
What have you done with my money? You know,
Right.
kind of like a report. You know, so this was the report kind of saying what we've done
Mhm.
in the world with these billions of dollars that his friend gave him. And in one little part of the report, it talked about when Bill and Melinda were dating
Mhm.
and they saw this thing and they decided that this is what
We'll
we're
work
about.
on.
This is what we're going to work on. This is our vision for our relationship.
Right.
And he says right in there that that has been their staple. You know, he's the big guy thing,
Right.
but when he's with his wife,
Mhm.
what they mean to the world is this thing.
That's what he
of
wants to be
things.
recognized for.
Those
or
are-
understood
But
for.
it's their thing.
But Michelle and Obama had the same
Right,
same
they have a-
objective. You
Right.
know, before he was president, they common cause, common goals that they wanted to work toward,
Mhm.
and it's something that they wanted
that's
to do.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the only story I could think of because it's so huge, you know, kind of getting real in the area of polio. That's kind of
Okay.
Mm-hmm. big. But there has to be a vision, and that's what happened to me and my first husband. I was married because I wanted to do it.
Saying you wanted to have the T-shirt and say you've been there and
I
done
wanted
that.
to do it. Grandma was a preacher, you know,
like
you're
the
not supposed
Nike,
to do it.
like the Nike commercial. Just do it.
And so I
Right.
did it. Hated it. Now I don't do it no more. But then I was very, very young. I was barely 18. You know?
Right.
But when you're that age and you're just figuring out stuff, and then you start to figure it out, and you're like, we have nothing to talk about.
Right.
I'm going to college,
Right.
and you're watching TV all the time, and I'm trying to
Better my
be
life.
up
right.
with mobile,
Right.
and you're cool right where you at.
Right. Right.
And there was nothing there. There's nothing there. And so we just did this. We just grew.
Apart.
Nothing to talk about. I didn't know what was on TV. He knew everything that was on TV.
Mhm.
He had no interest in what I was doing. So there's
Right.
nothing there.
That's where that
Yeah.
communication break down at then.
Yeah.
And nothing
But-
to talk about.
Okay. So you said it was a 3-part.
Oh,
So
I
did
got
we
another
answer
one.
all 3 parts of it?
I believe you did.
So there's this guy that says he's dating. That he says that we're dating.
Uh-huh.
And what we talk about every time he calls, which is a couple of times a week, is how much we don't talk. That's what we talk about.
Well, that's an interesting conversation. Because she's
Is it?
talking.
No, that is
You're
just not.
talking. So
we
unless
don't
you're
have-
just kind of on the phone breathing, you know, there are those phone calls we just call and nobody has anything really to say, and you just kind of sitting there
Oh, that's
listening
crazy.
to everybody, listen to each other breathe, and you like, okay, should I say something or should I hang up? And neither one wants to hang
No,
up
you need
because
to
they,
hang up
because they
wasting
figure
your
if they hang up, then okay, then that's gonna be rude because so everybody's waiting on the other one to say, okay, well
I hang up on people.
I'll
all the
talk
I
to
said,
you later.
don't be like teenagers. The teenagers say, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up first.
See you
Yeah.
later, and you sit there like, okay, crickets.
I couldn't. I cannot. I don't. I don't even talk on the phone that
Well-
much, so that won't work.
Let me see what one of John's questions. John, the date doctor. He's not here tonight, but he did have some questions. I think one was after a breakup, how long should it take before you get back into the dating game? And that's not exactly what his question was, but I took it and kind of shopped it a little bit.
Okay.
But again, it's after a breakup.
Okay.
How long should it take before you get back into the dating game? Or, you might need some counseling.
What? Oh my gosh,
You
that was
might.
a
You may need some counseling.
that's
you know?
horrible. If
Yeah,
you need
if
to
you
jump into counseling right after breaking up with someone.
No, but if
But,
after a period of time,
Wow.
Well, I mean that's a good question. I mean, for me and myself, what I say is you need to give enough time to filter out the last relationship. For one, I mean, because depending on how you parted, you might have, like you said, baggage. So, and you need to shed all that. You might have you might need to kind of get a reality check for yourself. You need to, kind of find out who you are again, and figure out the things that you like and just get used to being single. I think when people jump right in from one relationship to the next, I think they're using that other person because they don't want to deal with the pain or the feelings or the emptiness of the last person. So they jump into something so that they can use this person to help get over that. And the only problem with that is once you finally get over the other person and then reality hits, you're looking at this person that you really didn't have much of a connection with, but they were there. They were convenient.
They call them the rebound guy or the rebound girl.
Right, and so this person
I'm
may
not
have
gonna be. I'm not gonna. If I know somebody just getting out of a relationship, I'm not gonna be that rebound guy.
Exactly.
No.
How early in a relationship do you take your mate to church?
I think that could be anywhere between the first date to the second or the third date. I mean, what's the problem with saying if it's the first date when they say, well, let's go out? Okay, well, meet me at such and such and such. That way you find out from the get-go. I mean, because if church is something that you want to do, then or that's a part of you, then the person that you're going to be connected with, you would want them to also be able to go to church. I mean, I like to stay as for me in my house,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to go to church and be by yourself? Another person saying, well, let me know when you get back, and then when you get back, say,
incompatibility.
Yeah,
Right there. That's a huge one. But
But I think women have a tendency to go to church more than men. I don't necessarily think it's incompatible, but I think in general, women
less than?
women no more.
Oh, okay.
Women, you'll see a woman in church every Sunday. You might see a man in church once a month, but they could be married.
Mhm.
It's just that they don't. It's
Once a
different.
month?
I'm just throwing it out
I don't
there.
go to church on Sunday.
But I don't
go
think-
to church on Wednesday and Friday.
Right, and some people, like I said, got different dates that they go to. But that's that. I think if that's a big part of your life and your
You wanna
lifestyle
share,
and your belief system, then you got to be compatible in that area.
because
But if not, then I don't think it's such a big deal unless it is a big deal.
Right.
So,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If the person is looking for somebody to share things with, and again, that comes with communication.
fun
If that's
for y'all.
right, if that's that person's way of grounded
just
and
enjoy it.
right, their personality. And if they meet somebody and that person say, oh, well, either I don't believe in church or I don't believe in God, or I love the favorite statement is everybody in church are hypocrites anyway. I mean, don't make an excuse for why you're not going. Just say that, okay, I don't like to go to church. But then if that person, is somebody that wants to go, and they're gonna want that person that they're with to go with them.
So
That's gonna be a problem, I think, in the long run, because if that's something that they settle with in a dating process,
I think
if
you
it
figure
gets
that
to
out.
marriage, who wants to get up and then the husband's still laying in bed and you go out and then you do that? To me, that's become unequally yoked.
Well, I think
You're not yoked to-
I think you should
at
figure
that
that out though earlier on before you even get that far down the road.
So somebody's asking, so is going to church and is going to church important part of the relationship?
I think that's between the two people
Yeah.
that have to, they have to discuss
Yeah.
how big is church in your life or in your relationship.
Right,
And
I agree
then
with
too,
that.
the other thing is you may not like the church that you may want to go to a different church, or you may have different church styles. Some people might like a little quiet church. Some people might like a lot of hooping and hollering. It could be different things, but I think that have to be figured out too.
Yeah,
Because
because if you get together and you're in a marriage, couple don't need to be going to two separate churches. They need to kind of come together and say, if neither one likes the other church, then we need to find a church we can both agree upon. And both churches is left alone until you find something that you can work upon. But you going to that church and that person going to that church, I mean, to me, that opens up for the devil
That's just
anyway. That's
ridiculous. I would not
well,
come
no.
That is totally
Because
ridiculous.
look at this: if a person has a family church that they go to, and another person has a family church that they go to in the same city, both 5 miles apart, what's to say you don't indulge in both person's church? Has a person got to change his denomination or his, if that's the church that person have grown up in or have gone to,
Okay, so I can see what you're saying.
then you got to find
Every
out.
now and again,
I love that.
one go to this one and
Yeah.
then you go to that one. But at first it was like you were saying, they got this church over here and this one got this church over there. And they may not like what the other one's church is about. But
Right.
I understand more now. You're saying compromise. Okay, first Sunday we go to your church. Second Sunday we go
Something
to
like
your
that,
church.
yeah.
You know,
And
and then
if-
it's a compromise. I
Awesome.
can see that. That's
and
a
if
compromise.
you going
Yes.
to church is part of the vision you have for each other, it's going to be quite obvious if one church or another church fits into that,
Right.
because you don't have but so much time in a day, in a week, in a lifetime. So is this congregation, is the way this church operates going to work the way that we
Right.
see?
I mean,
us
you see,
going.
you see
That's
a lot
why
of
I don't-
times,
Right.
yeah, people get married and then they may not be going to this church anymore because they come to an agreement. Okay, well, I'll
Doing
follow
this.
it, right? And a lot of times the woman is the one that winds up giving up her church and following the man. I see that a lot of times. Not necessarily saying that that's the way it is supposed to be, but most of the time that's where you see it go. I don't know whether it's because the man says,
but-
"I don't
Yeah.
want this. I don't want to go to that church," and the woman just says, "Okay." But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's the woman that winds up giving up her church.
I beg to
and
differ.
gone.
I beg to differ.
No, you beg to
9
differ.
times
How
out
do
of
you
10.
do?
No, but I've seen both. I've seen men that go to the woman's church, and I've seen women that go to the. I don't know if it's 50-50. I don't know what the ratio is, but it seems like I've seen just as many men go to women's church as women go to men's
I
So
church.
think
we
it's a
had,
compromise. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had somebody say to start the way you can finish. Start out how you can hold out.
And
That's it.
that's a good. That's the way it
Start
should
out
be.
the
But
way you go
unfortunately, it never works out that way.
Mhm.
Majority of the time, people put their best foot forward. You know, they don't have Roberto. They have Robert representing them, and then once everybody gets locked into
It's
something, then all of a sudden
true.
Roberto comes out. You know, and
Mhm.
you're like, okay, what happened? What happened to the man that was opening the doors and the man that was doing this and that? Oh, I got you now. You know, that's the comment of what's said. So to me, and I think that's a great thing. Start out the way you're going to hold out
Hold out.
now. That way that person can make a decision from the beginning.
Okay.
Is this
Yeah.
what I like or not like? I think that's what.
I think also though, you also got the 2 things that's gonna happen. People are always gonna change though. Over time, hopefully 2 people can change together and grow old together. But
Right.
sometimes people can grow apart and grow differently. And the way they started out may not be the way they hold out, because you can have a mindset shift in, say, like you start out going to a particular church together, but then you say, okay, we don't like that church no more, or I don't like that church no more, or the pastor, you know what I'm saying? There's some breakdown to where now we need to find another church.
Right. Again,
They-
that's compromise and working together.
But there may be a
communication.
disagreement and say, no, I like the church I'm at. That person may not. Now you got a disagreement among the 2 of you that can cause enough friction to drive you apart.
Well, that's true.
Depending on how strong you are. I mean, I've seen couples break up behind some of the church. Oh, that pastor looking at you too much. We going to another, it's little idiosyncrasies,
Right.
but they happen. And sometimes they happen with the church, that the 2 people are a part of the way they start out.
Yeah, I think sometimes,
Things do come up, I'm saying, in relationship, big things that are monumental to where you may have to make a giant decision as to where we're taking our marriage and relationship. It may not be the way it was, but we got to, change do happen.
Change, but not turn into a totally different person.
Right.
I think it's more of a problem. Everybody grows and matures, and the things that you may have liked when you were younger may not appeal to you as you get older.
Right.
But you should not change your whole persona per se.
I don't know about that.
You don't
It can
change your.
happen.
Yeah, but I
It
mean,
can.
if it happens to that point, then you were not being who you were.
No,
to
that's
begin
not true.
with.
That's not that's.
I mean,
don't think
as
that's
you
true.
grow, I think you can grow. You can grow
just change. You can
but-
just change. You can.
from night to day.
You can.
Liking to not
Let's
opening
say-
the door to
let's-
not opening the door, being a gentleman to not being
It
a
only
gentleman. I
takes a
just think-
decision, just like deciding I'm not gonna be fat no more. It's a decision. You can just change and be a different person if that's what you.
With that, you need to have assistance in order to do
Okay,
that.
but I'm just saying, but
But,
you can
yeah.
change. It doesn't mean you weren't who you were before. It just means that now this is who I am.
Well, yeah, you see that more when someone is younger and then they get into
Right.
something and now they get older because they find their
You know-
own
you know why I have
personality,
to
their
say
own
that?
whole, on their own person.
Because I believe in the power of God.
Well, I do too.
And I believe that when people, like when they come out of prison, that they can just decide that my life, who I am, how I treat people, how I talk, everything just gonna be totally different. And that takes a decision. I have to believe like that, or
Right.
else there's no hope for people.
Right.
Who
Well,
are
that I
trying
think that's a
to-
little
Looking somewhere.
different than what I was saying as far as in if you got a marriage, like say somebody that's been married 45 years, all of a sudden wakes up one day and looks at his wife and say, you know what, I don't love you anymore. I'm leaving you. I like such and such over there. I mean, to me, those are like, what in the world happened? But of course, there had to been signs along the way
Right.
that maybe she missed, didn't see,
Right.
and then But to me, that's a lack of communication.
So we've got two.
Question.
Questions?
I think this is a question there. Dawn says,
Hi, Don.
when you go to church together, should you display public affection, or what is too much public displays of affection?
I think I think she posed that question on the Facebook chat this week. I seen where
No, don't be doing that. That's the Lord time. Don't be
No,
doing
but
all
I
that.
think if you hold hands with your significant other or mate, or if you're sitting in a chair and they happen to be sitting like whatever, I don't think that that's too much.
But what are we
Now,
talking
I
about
mean-
though? Define. I mean, we might have to
public
clarify.